I was shocked by how much I enjoyed Don't Look Up. There's a lot of dissension in the chat already. A lot of people in the film world that I respect gave this film scathing reviews.
Oh, yeah, wow. Cool.
Really said, thank you for that, tier 1. Really said that it was, for the amount of talent in it and the cost of the film, not worth the endeavor. So I kind of begrudgingly watched this film thinking that I knew how it would play out and kind of the overall vibe and aesthetic of it. And I'm going to be honest, that trailer almost makes me forget that this is an Adam McKay film. The trailer almost has a completely different tone than the film. The film is much more kind of like tongue-in-cheek, dark humor for the majority of it. There are serious moments, but certainly this is not what I would define as a serious film. I thought this film, a lot of people said, one of the main criticisms that was that there was no like focused criticism or purpose for the film. To which I say, did those reviewers even watch the movie? I think this film is a pretty direct rebuke of how the world is handling global warming and climate change. And I'm shocked that a lot of reviewers missed that. Rolling Stone, for one, and the LA Times both had the criticism that this film did not have any kind of pointed focus or criticism that it was making. And I was just like, what? Did you watch the movie? Listen, there are things that you can criticize about this film. I don't think the satire is what is lacking in this movie. I think the timing of this film feels a little gauche, I think is a okay word for it, in the sense that when we are going through another crushing wave of COVID and the existential threat of a population ending pandemic is like still kind of hanging around and making our life soggy. Now, I'm not saying we're all going to die out fucking 28 days later style, but I am saying COVID is kicking our ass up and down, and it sucks that I, spent my holiday inside, and a lot of people did, and watching a movie about the end of the world. The timing is just a little, I don't know. It's like if you made a fucking Saving Private Ryan film while we were at full-scale war. I don't know. It just feels a little gauche. I think that a lot of times when I watch movies that are about impending doom, I get exhausted by the final credits, right? There are a lot of impending doom films, and by the hour mark, I'm kind of like, oh, geez, let's see how they fuck this up, But this film, I didn't, even though it had a pretty substantial runtime, I felt like the character arcs and the humor and the overall message of the film kept me on board to the closing credits and even beyond, because there are some pretty great after credit scenes as well with some pretty pithy humor. And I think that the frustration that this film causes in the viewer, it's an interesting frustration, because for a lot of people like myself, it almost makes you feel sane, right? So many times in my life, I feel like I'm going up against my family and the media and my neighbors and sometimes my friends. And like, I feel like old man screaming at the clouds, right? Where I'm like, how are we so far apart on something that seems so obvious? And there were many times in this film where that sentiment is echoed. And in a weird way, I hate to use this expression, it made me feel seen, right? It made me feel seen in a way where I was kind of like, yeah, I get that. The other thing that was great, I think the greatest thing about this film, and it doesn't ruin anything, but the way that social media receives
that's very cool.
Leonardo's character versus her character is so funny to me. The duality of social media and how it's represented in this film is so well done, in my opinion, in how they explore both like the Schrodinger's box that is internet fame, right? And how small moments can influence someone's like complete trajectory. Of all the actors, of which there are a number of tremendous actors, this guy, whose name I don't even know, who plays the tech giant, destroyed everyone. This is one of the great performances what's his name? Mark Rylance. I had to ask my girlfriend too. He was incredible. This character is so pronounced. He's so fucking evil. His God complex is so perfect. It is like a perfect criticism of the Bezoses and the Musks of the world. And I thought it was the sharpest character and some of the best humor in the film. In fact, there is a joke, and it won't spoil anything. I don't want to spoil anyone for anyone who's seen the movie. It's just one line, and I think it's my favorite line in the entire film is when the scientists hear that this guy is getting involved, and the one scientist asks the other one, "Who is he? I've never heard of him." And Leonardo DiCaprio responds, "Oh, he's the guy who bought the Gutenberg Bible and then lost it." I was wheezing. I just thought it was such a perfect one-liner for like how billionaires behave. I think Jonah Hill's character, even though he made me laugh, I think his character is so over the top compared to the rest of the characters in the film that he sometimes almost like destroys the immersion of the movie, if that makes any sense.
Criminally underused. Also, shout out 21 months.
I thought Meryl's character was great. Meryl reminded me of like a Sarah Palin. She also looks gorgeous. A little other funny factoid in this film, apparently the rest of the cast was calling her the GOAT, meaning greatest of all time, but she had never heard that expression, so she thought a lot of people on set were just calling her a GOAT. I thought that story was hilarious. So she got very offended and didn't know till like closing slate that they were actually giving her a compliment. Ron Perlman, when he's in the rocket, and they're like, "Don't worry, he's going to be the hero we need." And he's like, he starts saying stuff, and you could see them getting more and more nervous when he's like, "Yeah, and this one goes out to the gays." And everybody's like getting more and more nervous. Or what he's like, "This one goes out to the Indians. Both kinds. Both elephant and feather. What if they teamed up?" That line, dude, I was actually laughing. Like, I was actually laughing. It's so fucking ignorant and it's so fucking stupid, but it's like, yeah, he's from a different time, right? Like how they just keep saying he's from a different time, and then he's like, "And how about those gays?" And they finally like cut him off. Listen, this film isn't everyone's cup of tea, okay? It's not. But it is a crime to call this a bad film. McKay did a great job directing. It looks cool. I found myself laughing. The cast is outrageous. Is it the best movie I've ever watched? No. Is it Doctor Strangelove and How I Learned to Love the Atomic Bomb? Fuck no. Did it keep my interest and make me go, well, yeah, fuck, yeah. I gotta give this film like a mid-8. I think this film is like an 8.5. I really liked it. And I think part of the reason I liked it so much, and I find this happening to me a lot in this day and age, is when people set the bar for me so low, and then I go in and I'm like, wait a minute. They were saying this movie is like a 5. What? People were saying this movie was like a waste of time. That is crazy to me. This is not a bad movie. It might not be your cup of tea, but it's funny and it's topical and it's well done. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one that might grow on people. I think especially breathing down the neck of possibly another Trump administration as global warming starts to really dig its tits into our back in these next few years. This film might seem more and more prophetic. The same way I would say that in Idiocracy, when it came out, people were like, well, this film is just ridiculous, right? And then 10 years later, people were like, Idiocracy was like almost like a Nostradamus-like prediction for the direction of society. So it is also kind of clear to me why a lot of mainstream publications would pan this film. Corporate interests. This is one of the most kind of wake-up sheeple, anti-climate change films I've ever seen. And as we know, addressing climate change is bad for business, basically across the board, right? If you have more than a few $1,000,000, you want to keep the gas on and powering hardline. Do I sound like a conspiracy theory, Andy? Yeah. Do I think I'm wrong here? No. I think that a lot of publications were told, hey, look up. Yeah, you hate this film. Okay, we hate this film.